right, welcome to another episode of What Else You Got. I'm your host, Mitch, and I'm with Margot. And Margot, I know last time we were talking about some emergency preparedness stuff, and we kind of finished on community, and at the end you're talking that you had a couple more thoughts on it. So, what else you got on community?
Well, how do you define community?
Well, I know the definition I go off of community is a common unity, and
Uh,
it's kind of weird how words actually mean what they mean. It's a common unity, so basically a group of people that come together with a common purpose, common goal, that have similar values that are able to head in a desired direction.
Did you look up that definition or did you just pull that out of your brain?
That's the definition that I have in my head. Or
Wow,
did I beat Google?
Oh, I didn't actually Google it. I just know I love talking about words. And if I were to hijack this conversation, we would talk about words today because I love words, but I'm not going to hijack the conversation because I know we were continuing a topic. But I think community is so important. Even for me, an introvert, community is important. And I think it's important to ask yourself what communities are you a part of? And if you can't think of any communities that you're actually a part of, ask yourself why. Is it good to be isolated? Mm-mm. Even introverts need to not be isolated. Introverts can have communities that they enjoy being a part of. You just have to ask yourself, what do you enjoy doing? And also expand your horizons. If you have limited communities based on your ideologies and beliefs, why? Why are you limiting yourself? Why not expand your horizons and go be a part or at least participate, try out some communities that you've not been a part of before? Explore. You might find something that you love doing that you were never even aware of before. So,
Yeah.
what communities are you, if you had to name three communities that you're a part of, what three communities could you identify?
So the first easiest one is church, which that one comes with all kinds of different groups and sub communities and all that fun stuff. Work, which people go, work's community? Yes, work is community. You work with people, you work towards a common goal. And if something happened in that realm, that community of people works towards a certain goal. And then, so those were my top two. I had two ready. I'm trying to think of what a third one would be. And then I guess a group of friends, which it's one of those that, yes, quite a few of these can overlap, which that just means you've got a stronger community if you have them overlapping. But I've got groups of friends that all specialize in different things, and it really is just one of those opportunities that we each group does something different. Work is a day job you get paid for. Church is faith based and you're working towards a different goal. Friends, usually that's where you do your stupid stuff together, but there's so many different communities. What communities are you a part of?
I think I would list my top community as family.
Oh yeah,
Family. So I mean, it's good to take an inventory of what communities you're a part of. It's good to just think it through. And then, like you mentioned, work. Most adults spend probably the majority of their time, waking hours at work. That is a community. If you hate that community, why are you there? I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But yes, work is a community, whether you like it or not. And um, I I have been a part of all sorts of different types of communities in the past. I think you can tell by my ample supply of craft supplies. I am part of crafting communities, quilting communities, all sorts of things there. I used to be a part of Toastmasters, an awesome community. So there are so many wonderful communities, and I think that it's good for us to expand our horizons. And if you're looking for a community, a great place to start would be to see if there's a community education program because they will often have classes that you can go and participate and it will introduce you to a new community. Another great way to find or tap into other communities is to go and take an improv class at a local theater.
and one
And
really good one that as somewhat overlooked, which introverts kind of don't like, is Meetup. It's a website that
Ah,
has all kinds of different groups, and you can find a group that meets what you're looking for. And
is that
it
still a thing? I know it used to be a thing before the pandemic. Is it
it's
still a
still a
thing?
website. Yep,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, and to that point, I mean, there's places like Facebook. They used to have groups
they still
for
do.
community meetups, and yeah. So I highly recommend communities and look into them before you feel like you need one. Go and contribute something.
And kind of going back to, since this is the continuation of last week's episode of emergency preparedness, some of those different communities have different specialties in regards to emergency preparedness. And as we kind of mentioned last week, is know what your disasters are that you're preparing for. You don't have to prepare for every disaster. You don't have to prepare for the Earth's atmosphere being ripped away, but you can prepare for a, a flood in your area, an earthquake, tornado, severe uh, weather that comes in. Know which ones you're preparing for, and also know how to handle some of the other ones. Because quite a few of the things that I'm going to share are it's a mix of the core essentials and a mixture of things I've added because it has happened more than once. And even though it's not my primary focus, I will have things that can handle some of those more extreme scenarios. And again, quite a few of these items will have linked in the description. Quite a few will have Amazon affiliate links. So if you do purchase stuff through them, we may be compensated. That's just the disclaimer we need to give with that. But
I feel like I'm going to be educated. I'm ready to learn. Teach me.
okay, so as I teach you, I'm going to ask this question. What are some of the core things that you feel like need to be in at least a 72-hour kit?
Chocolate.
Okay.
Um, but if you have chocolate in there, it needs to be stored in a cool, dry place. Um,
Or use dark because it melts at a higher temperature.
okay. So okay, I was being a smart aleck. 72-hour kits, we're like talking a a backpack size, right?
Well, depends on who you're packing it for, because if it's just an individual, you could do one of the small backpacks, depending how dense you pack it. If you're doing it for a couple, it's about a backpack. If you're doing it for a family, it might be a tote, and it really just comes down to who you're packing
Okay.
for, what you're packing for, and just because I realized I did not define what a 72-hour kit is. So a
A
72 hour,
kit makes you prepared for 72 hours
do you know why 72 hours is the magic number?
because that's 3 days.
Okay, what happens in 3 days?
3 days. A person cannot survive without water for 3 days?
That's part of it. So the reason why 3 days is so important is it really comes down to that is the time it usually takes different groups to come in and provide support to a affected area. FEMA, when something happens, they try to be there within 3 days. Other nonprofits like Red Cross, they try to be there within 3 days. In some instances, it can take up to a week depending on how badly an area is hit. So 72 hours is kind of the minimum to get you till you can get more support, more relief. Even though in the last episode we talked about these more long-term approaches like food storage, it's one of those that if everything got wiped off the face of the map, what do you need to do to be able to make it till you can get help? And that's really what the essence of a 72-hour kit is. So, what
So,
would be in your kit?
so number one would be water,
Okay,
cash,
okay,
protein bars,
okay.
and change clothes,
Hmm.
toilet paper.
Okay. So, I'll ask, why was water one of the first things that you listed?
Okay, water. Water, because I don't know the statistics, but the human body can only go a limited, you can go a long time with no food, but the human body cannot go a long time without water. And if the municipal water supply is interrupted or contaminated, you need to be able to have water independently without needing to rely on turning on a faucet. So you need to have access to clean, safe water to drink. So water in a 72-hour kit is very important.
Yes. So with it being 72 hours, you could put water bottles in, but keep in mind, water bottles do have an expiration date. Why does water have expiration dates? Because it's the bottle that has the expiration date, not the water. The bottle will eventually leach into the water, and so you need to keep that rotated. So be sure to look at your 72-hour kit every so often and update the things that go bad.
Well,
Now,
and that's true with your 72-hour kit. That's true with even if you're not a prepper or concerned about being prepared, whatever's in your pantry, you need to be rotating it. And if it's a food item that you don't eat, why is it even in your pantry? So even your regular weekly pantry needs to be rotated. So same thing with your 72-hour kit, your water bottles, your protein bars, it needs to be rotated on a regular basis.
yep, on the note of water bottles, I don't have water bottles in my 72-hour kit. Do you know what I do have?
A water filtration device.
Yep. So if you can't have actual water, you need to have a way to get water. And so whether that is these, I believe they're iodine tablets that will clean your water chemically. Now, it may still look nasty. It still might smell nasty. It still might taste nasty, but this makes it safe to drink. And so it's one of those that allows you to gain access to having a supply of water without actually having to have a water supply. Now, that is actually my backup solution. My primary solution is actually one of these. So I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're super awesome. So Life Straw. So you can actually get just the straw. I got the bottle because if you need to take water somewhere with you, you can take dirty, nasty water, stick it in a bottle, but this little straw actually filters out the water. And I haven't actually used one, but what I've read is it makes it where it gets rid of all of the contaminants, it makes it safe to drink, and the flavor's a tad bit better than using iodine tablets. And so have a way to get water. And I know you mentioned somewhere other than the tap, if you have uh, a well that actually works, that may still be a valid source, but depending on the type of disaster, the well may become contaminated. What is the second thing? Actually, you already said it. So the second thing you mentioned was having food. Why is food important? Technically, you said protein. But I'm generalizing the food.
Well, I think it does need to be more specific than just food in general, because if you have a 72-hour kit and you just throw in some food items that either have no nutritional value or lose their nutritional value in a quick time period, then it doesn't have, it's not going to do you much good. So I think it does matter what type of food items you put in your 72-hour kit. I said protein bars just because they're easy to grab at the store now and they're easy to throw into a backpack and they generally have an expiration date that's out there a ways. So and they have nutritional value. Where if you just throw in a candy bar or throw in some lifesavers, oh, no pun intended, um, the nutritional value isn't going to sustain you very long.
So even though Twinkies are apocalypse, long-lived food sources, you're saying Twinkies aren't a good solution, a good source of nutrition?
No, a nutrient dense,
Oh,
shelf stable food source would be a good idea for a 72-hour kit.
yep. And so there's so many different solutions. There are emergency cracker kits, which they're decent because one cracker, in theory, is a day's worth of calories and nutrients if you need it. But I actually subscribe. Or subscribe is probably not the best word, but what I like is MREs. So this is a civilian MRE, so it's not the military ones. The military ones are generally 3,000 calories each. This is a 2,000 calorie
Down.
pack. What was that? It's upside
It's
down.
upside down.
Okay, there we go. MRE. And so this has about 2,000 calories in it. This one is specifically spaghetti and beef in sauce, and it also has a powder, drink powder, so your nasty tasting water can taste a little bit better. It's got crackers. It's got a couple other
You
things.
need a heat source in order to be able to eat that?
So the cool thing with the heat source is there's already a heat source in here. It's
Really?
actually this. It's this bag right here. It's and what you do is you take any kind of water, contaminated or clean water, you pour it in, and it generates heat for probably about 15 minutes, and it will heat your food source. And so there's this one. There's so many different varieties of MREs because there's this one which is a tuna salad, and so it I really like these ones. They're pretty decent. And yes, there is a stigma against MREs generally, in my opinion. The majority of MRE food is actually pretty good. It's gotten better over the years. And the only reason why it's got such a big stigma is because if you're in the military, you've eaten too many of them, and so you generally don't care for them. But the nice thing is, when you get these MREs, you can pick different flavors and meals depending on how you get them.
And
And
I know what MRE stands for. Did you say what it stands for? Meal ready to eat.
yes, and good call out on that. And so it really is one of those that pick food that you want to eat, not food that you have to eat. Because yes, protein bars are great, but kind of like what you said with the food in your pantry, why do you have it if you don't like it?
Exactly. I agree 100%.
And so I definitely have enough food supply. Now, the cool thing with MREs is if you know your math, if you are in strenuous activity, so military level stuff, you can easily burn 3,000 calories in a day. And so you need to make sure you have the right calories. The reason why I chose these ones is because they're anything from 15 to just a little over 2,000 calories, so 1,500 to 2,000 calories. And in an emergency scenario, if I know help is on the way and supplies are good, I can easily ration this to go. I could get probably one pack to last 2 days if needed to be. So you stick 7 of those in theory, I've got 2 weeks worth of food if needs be. If I'm needing to get somewhere and I'm burning more calories, yes, I might go through one a day, but it's one of those that I have flexibility in my calories where I'm able to do what I need to, and my food is stable and safe.
All this talk about potatoes and foods and being prepared make me want to go watch The Martian again. Do you ever watch that movie?
The Martian is actually a great example on how to take what you have and make it more. And so it's phenomenal. And that actually kind of leads me into the you might not realize it, but there are so many TV shows, reality TV or fictional TV on survival. Because I know one of your favorites is Survivor, and it completely goes through how to start with a little bit and how to last for a long period of time. There are TV shows like Extracted, which is similar. And then if we shift over to fictional, there's The Walking Dead, Last of Us, Jericho, The Day After Tomorrow, that they show some flavor of a doomsday. And one reason why I like Jericho, even though starting to age a little bit, is it's a community that comes together after a natural event, after a disaster of some sort, where they're able to come together, build community, and be able to survive as a group. Kind of going off of what we were talking about at the beginning, where if you have a group of people, you can make it farther. Day After Tomorrow is kind of a little bit of an extreme on if you have nothing, how can you get to survive a little bit longer? And so there are just so many different things that allow you to see how some of these scenarios play out. And kind of like what we're talking about. If you know what disaster you're planning for, you can be more prepared for it.
The trick is though, usually we don't know what disaster to prepare for. You could prepare for everything and then be caught completely by surprise with whatever disaster does in fact happen. But
Yep.
I think if you put some thought into the process of being prepared, you're gonna be in a better place than if you just ignore the topic completely.
Yep. And so going off of some of the things that I added to my kit after experiencing a couple of these events is with the Texas power outage, the snowvid, it got cold and there was no power. And so I've got hand warmers and glow sticks. In Texas, why do you need hand warmers? It's for those weird occasions where it gets a little too cold. And
Well,
so,
with your MRE, with that heat, that flameless heater
mhm,
thinger, Is that something that after you heat up your food, does it stay warm enough long enough that you could put it in your pocket or in your sleeping
You
bag?
you can make use of it. The only risk is it does put off fumes, and so you have to be in a well ventilated area, but it can keep you warm for about 20 minutes. Hand warmers, depending on which ones you get, they can be 18 to 24 hours, or you can get 5 minute ones. Glow sticks, this is a good one because in some cases they can last for 24 hours. As if you have a flashlight, it might run out of batteries. Uh, you might not have batteries because you forgot to rotate them, or so many other sources. So having a supply of glow sticks can possibly get you to last long. And speaking of flashlights, because you had yours, this is one of those really cool dinky ones. It's got a little carabiner on the end so you can hang it up. But as I had this in my 72-hour kit, and as I was pulling out to one, refresh my kit, and two, prepare for this, I realized I don't have batteries for this. And so you can have something, but you can completely miss what you need to make it useful.
If you're gonna have a flashlight that size, though, they have some really cool ones that I think you shake them in order to create the charge to light the battery. So those are cool ones to have in a kit because they require no battery.
Yep. And I actually have two really interesting ones. I'm going to talk about each of them separately. So this is a NOAA weather radio. And so it's got AM, FM, and weather bands, so you're able to know what the weather is and pick up emergency broadcasts. It has a solar cell on the top. It's got the power button. But one of the things I really, really like about it, well, actually, I should talk about it also has a flashlight. But the thing I really, really like about this is it's also it's a crank, so you can wind it up. And one of the other really awesome benefits to this is on the back here, it has USB charging. And so it can double as a phone charger, it can double as a weather radio. There's so many things you can do. So that the more multi-use devices you can get, the better. And kind of going off of that, so I also have this flashlight, but this isn't just any old flashlight. This is actually a so show it. This is a USB power bank, but the cool thing with this one is it is a massive solar array that opens up, and so I've got solar power that can be used, and so I have more than one power source because of modern devices. You have substantial power need because when this snowpocalypse happened here in Texas, we couldn't get enough power. And the power we did have was cars. That was our fallback. But cars use a lot of gas just sitting around. Some people had generators, but it really came down to I've learned I need to distribute more of my resources to have multiple ways to get power.
Well, I think having multiple resources comes back to that concept we were talking about commodities that you can trade. So whether you have cash or honey or toilet paper, it's important to diversify your commodities so that depending upon whatever the situation is, you have that backup plan to your plan. So, like with your flashlights and your battery chargers and your solar power, you've got backups to your
Mhm.
backups.
It also goes back to having things that can be used for multiple different things. So they're emergency blankets. They're just a foil blanket that they're super great to keep you warm in severely cold things. Can be used as a sleeping bag, can be used as a poncho, can be used as a tarp, so many different things. And they're also super small, super light. And so it's one of those that uh, things like this are super valuable. And then sometimes you start getting into creature comforts where you have hand wipes. So this is if you don't have like hand sanitizer or soap, it's a quick thing that can get you by for your moment. And it's just one of those that these are just a couple of those things that I have in my kit. But I also realized one, I need to refresh a couple items. Two, I'm missing a couple of really important things. Because
Wait,
what are
I
some
want to know what are you miss? What are you missing?
yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. As what do you think I'm missing?
Ooh, should I guess?
Go for it.
What do I think you're missing? I don't know. You're so prepared. You thought of things that I didn't even think of. So, what could you possibly? You're missing a clean pair of underwear.
Technically, yes, but so one of the things that I don't have in my kit, but I have near my kit, which I didn't grab, is a first aid kit. Because if you're in a disaster of some kind, odds are you or someone you know will be injured in some degree, whether it's just a small paper cut or whether it's a debilitating leg injury. You need some kind of kit, and
Well, and again, that comes back to the concept of having multi-purpose, diversified type items, because if you've got a clean change of clothes in your kit, but you don't have any band-aids, you can create bandages out of those clean clothes.
yes, and also in most first aid kits they have scissors, which can do
Mhm.
so many different things. One of the things that I actually did find that I did not completely grasp that I realized I'm missing is a dust mask. I'm not saying gas mask, I'm saying a dust mask. So kind of like the ones we had during COVID. That way, if there's things in the air, you don't have to breathe it in immediately. So whether it's debris, toxins, fumes, it is an extra layer of protection. And then you start getting into some of your more extra things, uh, a deck of cards to keep yourself entertained, medicine, glasses, copies of IDs,
You got
pictures
one
of. Go ahead.
for we females. Feminine hygiene products. That might be something that is not thought of to go into a 72-hour kit. And that's another commodity that not only could be traded, but a commodity that allows diversification in your emergency preparedness kit, because a sanitary pad can also be used as a bandage for a wound. So,
Yep. And tampons are great for gunshot wounds.
oh yeah, because you plug it in there. Ew, gross.
Yeah, but it's one of those that helps take care of it.
Yeah.
But so think of things that you use every day. So you mentioned medicines and painkillers. If you have young kids, diapers, formula. If you have pets, pet supplies. Uh, in some areas, you may want to have a fire starter with you, actual flashlight, pictures of everyone that's supposed to be in your group. That way, if someone's missing, you have, hey, have
Oh.
you seen this person?
Oh, that's a great
Um,
idea, especially if because everybody keeps their pictures on their cell phone. So if your cell phone battery is dead, it might be nice to have a couple printed pictures. And I want to throw in another idea in there too, because we were talking about communities and we were talking about feminine hygiene products. If you want to do something good for your community, go donate some feminine hygiene products to your local unhoused communities, because that those products are freaking expensive, and that's something that not all communities can afford to supply for themselves. So oftentimes when people are donating to other communities, that's something that gets overlooked. So next time you're at the store, buy extras of those and go donate them to a local community, group. There you
yeah.
go.
And the last couple items I have is a small toolkit. It could include something to turn off the gas, can be something to open up battery compartments, just something small and simple. Doesn't have to be big and heavy.
One of those
Ma
basic multi-purpose tools that have all of the fancy doohickeys
yeah,
that
a pocket
unfold.
knife. A pocket knife would be
But one
enough.
of those fancy ones that have like the scissors that fold out, that
Hmm.
have the screwdriver
Multi-tool.
that pulls. Yeah,
Leatherman.
multi-tool. Yeah, yeah, one of those things.
And depending on where you're at, you may want maps, because if you're a little farther from town, you need to figure out how to get to town. Um, and then one of the things that I did find that is a great idea is a grab list. So you have your 72-hour kit where you have it ready to go, but if you have a little extra time to prepare because you need to go somewhere, what's the list of extra items you're going to grab? Are you going to grab passports? Are you going to grab house keys? Are you going to grab the extra roll of duct tape that's laying around? What are the things that you,
I love the idea of a grab list, because if you think about it, you're going to be stressed out in that moment and you're going to have trouble thinking clearly. So to have a printed grab list in the pocket of that 72-hour kit, then you don't have to think clearly. You can just look at the checklist and go grab those items. I love that, a grab list.
these are just a couple items that you can put in your 72-hour kit, but it really does come down to what emergency are you planning for? Because preparing for a blizzard is much different than preparing for a flood. Preparing for a flood is much different than wildfires, and wildfires is much different than tornadoes. And yes, multiple of these can happen at the same time, but it really comes down to, are you prepared for the expected, and then do you have contingencies for the unexpected? And so there's just so many different ways to approach being ready for emergencies.
I have one more quick point on that also. You're talking about the different types of emergencies. If you have floods in your area, it would make more sense to put your 72-hour kit in a bucket that is sealable, because then if there's a flood, your items aren't going to get soaked because they're in a watertight container. Where if they're in a backpack, everything in there is going to get soaked if there's some sort of major flood or something. So
Or have it,
think
yeah,
about
or have your stuff in a sealed container, because like those MREs, they're in a waterproof bag. I can
yeah.
go throw them in the water all day and they're going to be perfectly fine. They're in a thick, heavy plastic that it takes a little bit of effort to open it up. And so have your stuff in a state that if your emergency occurs,
Yep.
will your stuff be there when you're ready or
Yep.
when you need it?
I love that. I love that. Great topic, Mitch. We could probably talk for 4 more hours on this topic because it's interesting, because it involves so much more than just the idea of being prepared. It's about communities. It's about thoughtfulness. It's about thinking things through and creating plans. I love the topic. Hey, if people have other ideas that we didn't even think of, put them in the comments and share this with other people. Tell us what you think. Do you think it's important to be prepared? Are you a prepper? What are your thoughts? What communities do you belong to? And be sure to join us on our next episode of What Else You Got with Mitch and Margot.